Okay, let's go.
Okay, welcome back to American Rants Unredacted, episode 35. A little while back here, I did a video on people living in storage units. And as I was doing a little bit of research into that, car living is becoming more popular as well. Doesn't even matter the size of the car. Basically, everyone's just trying to escape rent. Rent is so freaking high in the United States. It's starting to become something that's actually unattainable for the average American just to rent a regular apartment. But anyways, I got a few clips here. We'll go through them, we'll comment a little, and we'll have a little bit of fun.
It's people out here right now today, man. They would rather make a $800 or $900 a month payment on an SUV or a pickup truck and live in a vehicle than to live in these overpriced ass houses and overpriced ass apartments.
That's true. I saw a few people complaining about, I guess, the process of getting the apartments. One of them was like a studio apartment that was like $1,800. Give me a break. Where do you live? That's one thing I wish people would actually do is let me know, or like when they do these videos, like what state, at least what state you're in, you know, because some of the prices are absolutely ridiculous. But it's not even that. It's all the application fees for like background checks and stuff like that. I think I don't mind so much like the background check, but just the initial application fee itself is robbery. I think people know exactly who's going to come into these apartments or who's going to qualify for them and who's not. And then they'll just, show people around, collect the $60 non-refundable application fee, and that shit, they're just stacking up money that way. But also you have to make like 3 times the rent, and it's just, But anyways, we'll continue.
It is cheaper to go and finance a vehicle for $700 or $800 a month, and you tack on a little insurance, which is about $300 depending on your age. They'd rather live in a vehicle than to be disrespected and have to pay high mortgage and high rent prices. These apartments now, they use their application process, man, as a way to make money off you. It's a scam. They sell you the dream. They tour you through these apartments and call them luxury. Ain't a damn thing about them luxury, man. You can get an apartment or a house with a pool any damn where. But then they sit there and sell you a dream, making you think that you finna get approved for this apartment, and you pay that $45 or that $100 non-refundable application fee.
Has anyone ever run into a $100 application fee?
And then they'd end up denying you, or they saying you need 3 times the rent. How many people sitting around in 2026 in this economy with 3 times their rent sitting in their account? Come on, man. The reality is people not really doing it, man. Overpriced apartments, overpriced houses. People would rather just live in their vehicles. Well, why not? It's cheaper. You can pull up to a Walmart parking lot after it closed and just go to sleep. You can pull over at truck stops. Truck stops are free. They don't charge you lot space or nothing. You can just pull up at a freaking resting station for trucks and just go to sleep, man. The way that this economy is upside down, man.
How do I stay safe living in this car? I'll show you. Seatbelt, meet door handle. Door handle, meet seatbelt. You're gonna pull it through. You're going to make sure that it's locked like this. And then you're going to plug it like this. Safe. Another thing that Oreo and I do to keep safe is we have all of my friends and family that I trust very much to follow my location on the Find My app on my iPhone.
I would suggest a pew pew. Young person living in their car. That's what I would suggest.
I don't know about Androids, but I think you have like a Google Maps or something that you can pin where you are. Tell me if I'm wrong. If somebody knows about that, please comment below. I also have those. These are nice because no one can see in and where I'm at in my car. I also have a very ferocious dog. And lastly, I have protection. You need protection.
Here's 5 things you need to live in your car. Number 1, and most importantly, you need a strong mindset. You cannot come into this thinking it's going to be the easiest thing on earth and you're going to immediately save money or be safe. There are days that's going to be harder than others. It's not going to be as easy as you think, or it could be as easy as you think. It depends on you and your personality. It also highly depends on where you live, because it could be really cold, really hot, or just in the middle. Allowing yourself to know that you're going to be okay no matter what situation comes up is going to be your friend. Just know it's going to be hard. Some days it's going to be harder than others, and some days it will go smoothly, or some days you might enjoy it as much as I do. Number 2, get a battery pack. You're going to need something big. Not something too small, but not something too big. Enough to charge your devices. Be careful with the wattage. It does take a little while to charge these. You can do it by solar, or you can do it charging it at a library, wherever you can get power. Number 3, you're going to want something to either keep you cool or keep you warm. For me, it was a fan. I would charge this along with my portable charger. It helps a lot with airflow, and it helps you sleep better at night. Number 4, if you're doing this long term, you're going to want somewhere good to sleep. For me, this is just a couple of pieces of wood. I built it like a bed. It's like a bed frame, and I threw a mattress topper on top, and now I just have my regular sheets and pillows on it. I removed my front seat just so I can have more space for my legs, and it works perfectly for me. Number 5, so you're going to want dark tints. I have 5% all around, and the darkest tints I can have in the front. You're going to also want window covers. I made this out of the project papers that you use at school when you're making a big project and it's a big poster board. This is like cardboard. I made this myself with an X-Acto knife and the size of my window and some tape. This gives you privacy and safety. This is also part of the window covers. It covers my entire front of the car.
So like you said earlier, like mindset is very important, and I mean that goes for almost every aspect of life, but I assume that living in a car, like me personally, if I had to choose between a car and a minivan, I'll just take the minivan. But it can't be easy. It can't be easy, and a lot of people are actually making the decision to do that. And it's not even just single kids or and the young adults, I guess, and they're like teens and like 19, 20, all that other stuff. But you know, it's almost inspiring, some of the clips that I have seen. People are just living in their car. They're still working. A lot of people still have jobs. They're not doing it because they don't work. And they're just stacking cash. They're just stacking. And a lot of them are just trying to buy land that they can even just park their car and sleep in their car on their land and stuff like that. But obviously, you got to look into a lot of the laws when it comes to land. Because the state, everyone, they want their tax money. They want to be able to tax you for living on that land. If there's nothing taxable for them to tax you just on a piece of dirt, then it becomes harder for them to, I don't want to say steal, take all your money. So yeah, definitely look into the laws there and see what is acceptable before you even just buy a plot of land. But how do you guys find the safe areas? That's what I want to know. I mean, obviously, it also depends on what state you live in. With my particular job and the amount of people that I talk to, especially like business people wise, like I bet if I ended up in a situation like this, I could always they would let me probably park my car in their parking lot like all the time. But I don't know. Let me know your guys' thoughts on that. Where is this? Okay, that's crazy. I have not seen a setup like that. It's got to be like, I don't know, Korea, maybe? South Korea? Sorry. Not North, but South. I don't know. If you guys know, let me know. What are those blocks in her food? Is that tofu? What the hell is tofu? Can someone explain that to me? I mean, obviously, I can just look it up, but is it good? Everything that I've ever seen around tofu, like, it's disgusting. From what, people that have tried it, I personally have not tried it. I don't want to, but why is it like in some of these countries? It's kind of like a staple food for their. I'm assuming that's like some sort of like homemade ramen or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think I could eat it. Because it doesn't have enough chemicals in it. Those PJs look comfy as hell.
I live in a
I'm not gonna lie, that thing is tiny as hell, but it looks comfy as hell too. I've never seen a setup like that. And like, where does she keep all the bathroom stuff? Was that all collapsible? It just looks so small. I don't know where you would pack this stuff.
box truck. See, this is my truck. I named her Big Bertha. We're stationary. We haven't moved in a while. I live in a box truck. There's a lot of misunderstandings. First of all, look, I can stand in my house. I wouldn't live here if I couldn't stand in here. This is my house. Okay, there's an air conditioner right here. Ziggy, what's the temperature right now?
It's currently 94 degrees with a high of 97 and a low of 64 degrees today.
See, it's hot and I have air in here. We're nice and cool. Okay, another thing. This is my restroom. This is shower and a toilet. I shower in my own house and I shit and piss in my own house. I don't have to go somewhere else every time I have the nature calls. Like, no. I have my own little couch. I have my own TV and I have mobile Wi-Fi. Like, I have an ice maker. I have a little tiny oven because I only need an oven for a little tiny. Like, I have a gas stove. I have an electric stove. I cook on the fire all the fucking time. Water. I'm just going to show you a perfect example. I have 5 of these under my sink that I fill up with water from the damn water station right there. Like, simple questions. In parking, it's not as hard as people make it sound. You could park a damn near any Cracker Barrel. I've lived in so many Cracker Barrels that don't make any sense. They're like, last time.
Well, I mean, that's a little misleading. Definitely check like your state laws and stuff like that, because if they catch you in, like, I don't think you can just park your car in like local neighborhoods or anything like that, plus businesses on private property, trespassing. Being homeless is starting to become a crime in a lot of states right now. But again, the economy is shot. Trump's already said he ain't going to let the housing market correct, so we're kind of screwed there. But yeah, be careful where you park. And make sure you're aware of your surroundings.
I was in Fort Lauderdale, I'd be at the park all day. Seriously, I'd be at the park all day, and then at night when it was time, when the park closed, I went to Cracker Barrel every night to go to sleep. Like I've lived on the beaches. I'll spend plenty of time at the beach during the day, and then I'll go home. I'll drive to a truck stop to go to sleep. It's not as complicated as people try to make it seem. I love my life.
I love your hair.
After last week's post went viral, I got a lot of questions like this. So come on in, I'll give you a van tour. So this is where we cook most of our meals. There's a stove under here, and this is our oven where we can cook cookies and fresh made bread and basically anything you want. So that's been really nice. This is our refrigerator where we keep our food cold, you know, like a refrigerator does. And this is our toilet. It's a composting toilet, and since there's so many people in the van, it gets a lot of use, and it's been really nice to have. And these are my siblings. I'm Reagan, and I'm 9. This is my brother Anderson. He's 7. This is my brother Emerson. He's 6. This is my sister Aspen. She's 3.
And no offense, how do you keep your kids clean? Because those boys' hair look clumpy as hell. You know, that's got to be rough, especially on kids. But you know what? If they grown up at a younger age and seeing the struggles and knowing that their parents are trying to do the best that they can, I think it builds character for children. And I'm not saying go out and do it just because you have kids. I'm just saying more likely than not, they're not going to take things for granted as they get older. Even just if all they can ever afford was a tiny home, like they'd be grateful for it.
And this is our newest addition, my baby brother Mason, and he's 2 months old. Next, this is our bench seat. It was made with 5 seat belts, so it fits us perfectly. This is Mason's infant car seat, and then all the rest of us have car seat harnesses for when we're driving. So obviously one of the main challenges with living in a van with this many people is there's not a lot of space for storage. So in the daytime, we move everything up onto mom and dad's beds, and then at night, we move everything into the front seats so we can go to sleep. And the main question we get is, how do you sleep with 7 people in that van? So I'm gonna show you. Me, Aspen, and Anderson sleep down here, and Emerson sleeps up there, and mom and dad and Mason sleep up on the bed. So that's what it looks like at night. Good night.
Geez, you couldn't even give your kids the bed? Me personally, like that whole setup, I mean, is it doable? Of course it's doable. But I don't know. I think me personally, my kids would be sharing the big bed up top. Mainly just because if somebody comes in, I don't want them to have direct access to my children just laying right there on the floor. You know, I want them to have to get past me to get to my kids. So me personally, I would have put the kids up on the top bed, and I would have slept on the floor right where the door's at. So, you know, the first person you're going to deal with is me. But I don't know. I mean, they all seem happy.
Meet the Frost family of Union City. The place they call home, where the 6 sleep at night, is inside a Ford Taurus.
They ask me every day, Daddy, why do we have to sleep in the car?
I try not to cry, put a smile on my face.
Raymond and his wife Valerie, 7-year-old Reggie, 5-year-old Nailani, 3-year-old Rodney, and the baby, Raymond Jr. They've been living out of their car ever since Valerie's mom could no longer afford to house them. Raymond works 2 jobs, but the Bay Area native can't scrape together enough money to afford rent. And these days, he's not alone. Nancy George is executive director of the Kids Zone in Union City. This past school year, she's seen double the number of homeless families. She's counted 100, with 20 now living out of their cars.
With rents going higher and higher every day, you don't know who may be homeless next.
Regardless of the situation, her husband, she says, is the real hero.
That's true. I mean, you never know who is homeless and who will be homeless next. I literally just got shown a post, and I'm gonna have to double check it before I just say it's actually real. But there's a city right near where I am where apparently they were trying to pass a 230% increase in property taxes, and they settled for 185. 185% increase. What the fuck?
He goes beyond.
More than 1 million Americans went to sleep last night in a vehicle. Not a shelter, not a friend's couch. A car. Parked on a side street, a church lot, or behind a 24-hour store, engine off, windows covered, trying to make sure nobody noticed. And here is the thing that makes this different from what most people assume. Many of them have jobs. Some have kids in school. Others are retired after decades of work. They don't look like the image we have of homelessness. And that is exactly why this crisis keeps growing, because the people caught inside it look just like everyone else. Today, we're going to walk through exactly what's happening, who it's happening to, and why the systems that were supposed to stop this have failed so completely.
I mean, obviously, for me personally, I don't know if after retirement, if I could downsize and just do like a small minimalist mobile home kind of thing and just live off of my 401k and pension, I'd be cool with that. Like, kids are off doing their own thing, they got their own lives and everything, as long as I can always just drive over to charge my shit, but I would pick that life too, honestly.
Let's start with the number the federal government doesn't talk about much. Every year, the Department of Housing and Urban Development releases a homeless count, a single night snapshot meant to represent the full scale of the problem. But here is what that count actually measures: people in shelters and people visibly sleeping on streets. It does not count the family in the minivan parked 2 blocks from the elementary school. It does not count the man sleeping in his truck outside the warehouse where he works the early shift. It does not count anyone who has decided, deliberately, to stay invisible. And that invisibility is not an accident. Families living in vehicles rotate locations every few nights to avoid being noticed. They choose quieter residential streets. They keep curtains across the windows. They leave before dawn. They do everything possible to look like they belong, because the alternative is a fine, a tow, or something worse. Researchers believe the true number of Americans sleeping in vehicles on any given night is dramatically higher than what official data shows. In California alone, vehicle dwellers make up close to 40% of the unsheltered population in certain areas. School districts across the country are reporting record numbers of students classified as homeless under federal law, and most of them are not in shelters. They are in cars with their parents. This is what the official count misses, and what it misses shapes every policy decision that follows. Now here is the part most people get wrong about this crisis. They assume it's about unemployment, about people who fell completely out of the economy. The data tells a very different story. One of the fastest growing groups living in vehicles is employed, full-time employed. People who wake up in a car, drive to work, put in 8 hours and drive back to a parking lot to sleep. Researchers have a name for them: the working homeless. And the reason they exist is not hard to understand, even if the implications are uncomfortable. Wage growth over the past decade has been modest. Rent prices in cities across the country have jumped 20 to 40% in just a few years. That gap, between what workers earn and what landlords charge has become wide enough that having a full-time job no longer guarantees a place to live. Run the numbers yourself. Someone earning $15 an hour, 40 hours a week brings home roughly $31,000 a year before taxes. A one-bedroom apartment in most American cities now costs $1,500 to $2,000 per month. That's $18,000 to $24,000 a year in rent alone, before groceries, before gas.
You know, with all the money that they keep sending out of the country, I feel like a lot of this stuff could be fixed. I understand that there are some people who are out on the street by choice, like they'd rather just do that than live at home with parents or be controlled by the man or whatever. But I don't know. We're spending hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, to Israel, to anybody else who fucking needs it, with all these pork-filled bills where they need to be single-issue bills, but they're just spending. And you have all these other states who are getting like millions of dollars for like to try and take care of the homeless crisis, that the most they do is give them a fucking blanket and maybe a hot meal. One, that's it, So I feel like all the money that they keep wasting out there, they could literally probably afford to give everybody a tiny home or, a semi-spacious apartment, something, but the prices are out of control.
Before anything goes wrong. And landlords don't just look at income, they require proof that a tenant earns 3 times the monthly rent. A worker bringing home $2,400 a month cannot qualify for an apartment listed at $900. Not because they're bad with money, because the math simply doesn't work. So they go to work, and they sleep in their vehicle. Some park near the job site. Some pay for a gym membership, not to work out but to shower before their shift. Some have been doing this for months, some much longer. This is what it looks like when wages and housing costs drift so far apart that having a job no longer means having a home. But here is the part of this story that is hardest to sit with. It involves children. More than 1 million students in the United States are classified as homeless under federal law in a single school year. That number has been climbing for years. A significant portion of those kids are not in shelters. They are sleeping in vehicles with their families. Think about what that morning actually looks like. A 9-year-old wakes up in the back seat of a sedan. No kitchen, no bathroom. Her mom drives to the nearest gas station so she can brush her teeth and wash her face before school. Then, she walks through those front doors trying to look like every other kid in the hallway. That night, she does her homework in the parking lot of a 24-hour store because that's where the Wi-Fi reaches. She can't sleep well because a car isn't built for sleeping. She's exhausted, she's anxious, and she is terrified that someone will find out because that is the thing she fears more than almost anything else. Research on childhood housing instability is clear. Chronic instability is tied to lower academic performance, long-term emotional health challenges, and life outcomes that can follow a child well into adulthood, long after the vehicle is gone. And yet these parents park near the school, specifically so their kids can keep attending. They're doing everything they can, holding things together from inside a parking lot. That determination is real, and it doesn't make the situation any less serious. If this is hitting close to home for you, literally or not, drop where you're from in the comments. I'm genuinely curious which cities people are watching this from. So how does a family actually end up there? And how quickly can it happen? Most people assume it's a slow slide. Something you'd see coming. Something you'd have time to prepare for. Most people are wrong.
I'll say it's not. I mean, it's the average everyday American who has to live paycheck to paycheck. One car problem that happens, one unexpected accident like that, you have to rush your kid into like the emergency room. Any of that stuff will derail your bills, your plans, what you have put that money aside for, and then all of a sudden you're behind, and then all of a sudden you don't have a home, or you're out of your rental. So that's That's the reality of, I think, I don't want to say percentage is too high, but I'd say at least 50%. 50% of Americans all live paycheck to paycheck. And all it takes is one thing, one accident to happen, or one unexpected bill, or one debt to follow you, and then all of a sudden they're garnishing your wages, and then boom, you're on the street. And they're not doing anything to stop all that.
For a lot of families, the drop from a stable home to sleeping in a vehicle takes less than a month. Here's how it typically unfolds. A family of 4 in Phoenix, 2 working adults, 2 kids, gets a written notice that rent is going up $400 a month starting next lease term. They can't absorb it. They spend 3 weeks looking for something else in their price range. In their area, there's essentially nothing. They fall 1 month behind. The landlord files for eviction. Court costs get added to what they owe. They can't afford a lawyer. The process moves faster than they expected, because these processes almost always move faster than people expect. 6 weeks after that notice arrived, they're sleeping in their SUV in a church parking lot, figuring out how to get the kids to school Monday morning. This isn't an edge case. Eviction researchers at Princeton's Eviction Lab have documented millions of eviction filings across the country every single year, and the financial gap that triggers them is often surprisingly small. One missed payment, a few $100s in fees, a process that moves fast for people who can't afford representation. But here's what makes it worse. An eviction on your record doesn't just mean you lost your current home, it means most landlords won't rent to you again. Even a filing, not a completed eviction, just a filing, is enough for most tenant screening systems to automatically reject an application. The family that might have gotten back on their feet, given a little time, finds itself locked out of the rental market entirely. The car becomes the only option left. The speed is what makes it devastating. There's rarely time to form a plan. The window between financial trouble and sleeping in a vehicle is short, and the road back out is long. Now here's something that surprises most people when they hear it. Living in a vehicle is not cheaper than renting a home. For a lot of families, it actually costs more. Researchers call this the poverty penalty, the way that having fewer resources makes nearly everything more expensive. Vehicle living is one of the clearest examples of that in American life. Without a kitchen, families eat fast food, prepared meals, convenience store food. Feeding a family of 4 that way can easily run $60 to $100 a day, several times more than cooking at home would cost. Over a month, that gap alone.
I mean, that's true, but a lot of people that I have seen in their stories, they have ways of cooking. They have stoves. They'll cook over a fire, charcoal grill, any of that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I get what he's saying, but there are ways to make it happen.
Can exceed what a modest apartment would have cost in some cities. Fuel becomes a survival cost. In summer heat or winter cold, the engine runs for hours just to keep the temperature inside livable. That can add $200 to $400 a month, on top of normal driving. Belongings that don't fit in the car go into a storage unit, $80 to $150 a month. Showers mean a gym membership or a truck stop fee. Laundry means a laundromat. None of this is optional. All of it costs money that could have gone toward a deposit. The Federal Reserve has found that a large portion of American households can't cover an unexpected $400 to $500 expense without borrowing. For families living in vehicles, every expense is expected, recurring, and unavoidable. And there's nothing left at the end of the month to build toward getting back inside. Being unhoused makes it more expensive to live. More expensive means harder to save. Harder to save means the trap closes a little tighter every month. So what actually built this trap? Because it didn't appear overnight. Over the past decade, rents have risen far faster than incomes in cities across the country. The National Low-Income Housing Coalition has documented something that deserves more attention than it usually gets. There is not a single state in America where a full-time minimum wage worker can afford.
Yeah. So, I mean, the way the economy is right now, it's rough out there. and it's rough out there for, I would say, the 99%, I guess, if you're not an elite, at least the bottom 90%. And with 50 to 75% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck because wages has not kept up with inflation, this is starting to become more and more a reality for, parents and their kids or family. I don't know. As a single person, could I do it? Absolutely. And I'd probably have a good time doing that. As a father and a husband, I don't know if I would, I don't want to put them in that situation, I guess. I mean, honestly, I don't think anybody who's doing it right now chose to do that, but it did happen. And, maybe if that situation ever arose, maybe my whole family, we could thrive. We have a SUV, so we could probably make a sleeping area out of that, I guess. And I love camping, so, it could be a good time. I don't know. But anyways, let me know in the comments what you guys think. How do you feel the economy is going? How do you feel the housing market is? Is it ridiculous, all these things that they're requiring for rentals, the 3 times the rental amount, and got to pay all these ridiculous fees just to see if you can even get into a space. I don't even know when that started, but that needs to stop. That is dumb. I mean, the world's just turning more and more greedy. But anyways, let me know what you guys think. Could you swing it? Could you put your family through that? Would you guys be okay? But anyways, let me know in the comments, and like, share, subscribe, do all that fun shit, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye.